Hello everybody, my name is Clark Gingrich and I am the Prodigal Christian.
He broke every chain, we're no longer slaves, we're children of God.
Hey everyone, how's it going today? It is day 2 of the 12 days of family. It's a time where I want to help us, even myself, reflect on Christmas from the aspect of family, rather than just being focused on all those great gifts that we get from family members. Today I'll be reading from chapter 31 of Jeremiah, verse 2. And as I said in the last video, I'll be reading one verse per day. So let's go ahead and get this started. Chapter 31, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. It's actually really amazing. When you think of it, okay, so how many of you as a child enjoyed life and reaped the benefits of ignorance? Ignorance is bliss. And now you're at a certain age, you're like, yeah, okay, life is a little bit rough. I mean, we all go through our own ordeals and trials that we have to overcome or just at least muscle through. And sometimes, we get emotional or we have an attitude about it. We've been in the wilderness as like the Israelites were. They went through the wilderness and they had a lot of things happen to them in the wilderness. And even after they came out and they established a nation, they just had this certain thing about themselves that they just couldn't let go. Sometimes we have certain things that happened to us in the past, certain things that were bad, certain things that we just felt brought us comfort. And during the time of being in the wilderness, this time of getting to know how the world operates, and sometimes it could batter you down, or sometimes it just push you to the limit. And I've been there quite a few times in the last 5 years, as only probably the first time in my life where I actually made do of it. I actually learned from what I was going through, rather than just going through life with a blank mindset, thinking that it was just hard and life is cruel and I was just trying to survive. I'm no longer on survival mode. I mean, how many of you out there are on survival mode? You're like, this girl caused me problems, but I love her, I guess I'll survive through it. Or this guy, he caused me problems, but I love him, but I guess I'll make it through it. Or even with family, right? We get to really rough places in our life, and even when we come out of it, we become a little bit bitter. But even in those bitter days, which I would actually consider the wilderness, because before that it's just a mindset of I'm in hell, where in the bitter days you're like, I'm kind of out of it, but I kind of brought this luggage with me. And that's what happened with the Israelites. They were set free from their captors from Egypt, and they came into Israel, which was great, but they brought so much luggage with them, the things that brought them comfort, which really didn't bring them blessing or happiness, and they just wanted to go back to it. So they had to overcome many things. So that's why I say, in that time of stage where you're like, everything's going good, but you have this bitterness in you, that's the time of the wilderness. But what happens when you make it through that? What is it that we're supposed to experience through that? We're supposed to experience during that time the love of God, or at least the atmosphere, or the idea, the energy of love. Because once we allow love to come in, we can overcome this bitterness that's been placed in us, this envy even, you might say. But when we overcome this envy and bitterness within us, then can we truly interact with our families, the ones that we love, the ones that we actually talk to, whether friends or whatnot. we can actually give them love, this higher element of love. This higher element of love that God has always wanted us to share. And that's why it says, like, even Israel went through it. And then he gave them rest. He gave them rest. So once you overcome that bitterness and envy within yourself, you find rest within yourself. You find out that no one in your family, not even the closest loved one, not even your child, you're not been there, can bring you the happiness and freedom within yourself other than yourself. And once you obtain that, you're able to give that love. You're able to find rest within yourself. And you're able to give your family rest. And you're able to share that love with them. And that's what's so great about today's message. It's about understanding, what season are you in? Are you still living in hell? Or are you living in the wilderness of bitterness and envy? And if you are, start looking inwardly to break through and allow that love to seep in, so that you can be the catalyst of fire, the fire of love that can unite or even just ignite your family, whichever it might. Let this season turn around. I mean, take for instance, you got Minecraft right here behind me, and you have two options. You work in the mode of like actually having to break everything down, collect, and then build, which is actually a part of life anyways. But what love does is actually kind of ease that work. It almost kind of like when you go into Minecraft again, there's a creative mode. Love kind of frees you up from doing all that, feeling so weighed down by all the work or the interacting with people, that it kind of frees you up within yourself to find peace and just become creative. And that's the thing that we want to do during the season, and then be able to multiply that for the rest of the year. After this year ends and beginning of next year, we want to be able to multiply that that creativity of love, and being able to reach out and not be weighed down by it. This is what awaits you after you overcome the season of bitterness and the wilderness of bitterness and envy. This is what is awaiting you. This is what the family of God is. This is what the 12 days of family is all about. This is what we will be looking at. I am the Prodigal Christian, and I hope you stay encouraged.
He broke every chain, we're no longer slaves.